Junho sat in his small office on Earth, staring at the translation data on his screen. He had been working on a simple trade agreement between humanity and a merchant species for 3 weeks now. The work was boring but safe. Exactly how he liked it. At 28 years old, he had carved out a quiet life as a translator for the Terran Diplomatic Corps. He preferred the company of books and language databases to people. Most days, nobody bothered him at all. The door to his office slid open with a sharp hiss. Junho looked up to see Director Park standing in the doorway, her face unusually serious. She never visited the lower-level offices. Something was wrong. "Pack your things," Director Park said without greeting. "You have 20 minutes." Junho blinked. "You've been requested, specifically. By name." She handed him a datapad. "The Velrian Empire wants you on Station Meridian. Immediately." Went. Junho's hands shook as he took the pad. The Velrian Empire. Everyone in the diplomatic corps knew about them. They were one of the most powerful civilizations in the Galactic Council. They rarely spoke to humans at all. Humanity had only joined the Council 5 years ago and was still considered a minor species. The Velrians had technology that seemed like magic. They had ships that could cross the galaxy in days. And they were telepathic. "Why me?" Junho asked. "I've only done small trade negotiations. There are senior translators who—" "They asked for you specifically," Director Park interrupted. "By name. Junho of Earth. We don't know why. We don't question the Velrians. You leave in an hour." The trip to Station Meridian took 2 days by fast courier ship. Junho spent most of the journey reading everything he could find about Velrian culture. They were a proud people. Junho spent to this maid. Junho spent to the trip presentes. Junho spent to this maid. Their society was built around honor and psychic bonds. They could read each other's thoughts, which made lying impossible among them. They valued truth above all else. Their mating rituals were complex and sacred. The files warned repeatedly that outsiders should never interfere or comment on Velrian relationships. Junho made a mental note to avoid that topic entirely. When the ship docked at Station Meridian, a Velrian escort was waiting. The alien was tall, nearly 7 feet, with skin that seemed to shimmer between blue and purple. His eyes were solid silver with no visible pupils. "Junho of Earth," the Velrian said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Counselor Thane. Follow me." They walked through corridors filled with species from across the galaxy. Junho saw the insectoid Kresh, the floating energy beings called Luminates, and dozens of others he couldn't identify. Everyone seemed to give the Velrian a wide path. "You will be traveling to Velthara," Thane said as they walked. "Our homeworld. You will work directly with Princess Erin on the summit negotiations. The Krell Dominion threatens our borders. This summit will determine if there is war or peace." Junho's stomach dropped. "Princess Erin? I thought I would be working with a delegation team, not royalty. The princess specifically requested you." Thane's voice was cold. "Though I cannot imagine why. You are human." The way he said "human" made it sound like an insult. The journey to Velthara took another day. When Junho's ship entered orbit, he pressed his face to the window. The planet below was breathtaking. Crystalline towers rose from the surface, catching the light of 3 moons. Forests glowed with bioluminescent colors. Oceans reflected purple and gold. The palace where they landed was made of something that looked like living crystal. It grew from the ground in sweeping arcs and curves. Inside, the walls pulsed with soft light. Junho was led to a massive chamber with a ceiling that seemed to open to the sky. In the center stood a woman who took his breath away. Princess Erin was tall, like all Velrians, but there was something different about her. Her skin shifted colors as she moved, flowing from silver to pale gold. Her hair was long and white, almost glowing. Her eyes were violet, so deep they seemed endless. She wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Junho of Earth, she said, and her voice was like music. Thank you for coming. Junho bowed, not sure what else to do. Your Highness. I'm honored, though I'm not sure why you requested me specifically. Aaron smiled, and for just a moment, her skin flushed gold. Her attendants, standing along the walls, gasped quietly. Aaron's expression became more controlled. Your work on the Kreshi trade agreement was brilliant, she said. You understood not just their words, but their cultural context. You saw what they truly meant beneath what they said. That is what I need for this summit. The Krell do not say what they mean. We need someone who can read between their words. I'll do my best, Junho said. Over the next few hours, Aaron explained the situation. The Krell Dominion was expanding aggressively. They wanted territory that the Velrian Empire considered sacred. War seemed inevitable unless the summit could find compromise. Representatives from 7 different species would attend as mediators. As Aaron spoke, Junho found himself watching her. She was incredibly intelligent, her mind working through complex political scenarios with ease. But there was something else. A sadness in her eyes, a loneliness. He pushed the thought away. He was here to work. Nothing more. That evening, Junho was invited to a formal dinner in the Great Hall. He wore the best formal clothes he had brought, feeling underdressed among the Velrian nobles in their shimmering robes. He was seated at a side table, grateful to be out of the spotlight. Princess Arine entered, and the room fell silent. She walked to the center of the hall and raised her hand. I have an announcement, she said, her voice carrying to every corner. I have found my resonance partner. The room erupted in excited whispers. Junho had read about this. The resonance was how Velrians found their destined mates. It was a telepathic connection, rare and precious. Aaron turned and looked directly at Junho. Junho of Earth, you are my chosen mate. The room went completely silent. Then chaos erupted. Junho stood up so fast his chair fell over. What? No, I'm just the translator. Aaron walked toward him calmly. I felt your mind the moment we met. The resonance does not lie. You are meant to be mine. But I'm human. Junho's voice cracked. I'm not telepathic. This has to be a mistake. There is no mistake. Aaron stood before him now, close enough that he could see the colors shifting in her skin, gold and silver and hints of blue. I have waited my entire life to feel this connection. And I felt it with you. No. Counselor Thane stood up, his face furious. Your Highness, this is impossible. A human? As consort to a Velrian princess? It would be an insult to our entire people. Other voices joined in, some agreeing, some arguing. Junho felt like the room was spinning. Arine raised her hand again, and silence fell. The resonance is sacred. It cannot be denied or questioned. This is my choice and my right. She turned back to Junho, and her expression softened. I know this is overwhelming. I am not asking you to accept this bond right now. Complete the summit with me first. Help me save both our peoples from war. Then, if you still wish to refuse the bond, I will accept your choice. And if I refuse, Junho whispered, then I will never bond with another, Arine said quietly. The resonance only happens once in a Velrian's lifetime. But I will not force you. The choice must be yours. Junho looked into her violet eyes and saw something there that terrified him. Hope. Real, vulnerable hope. This powerful princess, who could probably destroy him with a thought, was looking at him like he was the most precious thing in the universe. I'll stay for the summit, he said finally, but I can't promise anything else. Aaron smiled, and her skin glowed gold. That is enough. For now. As she walked away, Junho sank back into his chair. His quiet, safe life, as a translator, had just become impossibly complicated. He had come here to translate words. Instead, he had somehow become the chosen mate of an alien princess. And despite his fear, despite the impossibility of it all. A small part of him wondered what it would be like to be seen the way Aaron seemed to see him. Like he mattered. Like he was special. He pushed the thought away and tried to focus on the work ahead. The summit would start in 3 days. He needed to prepare. He needed to think clearly. But every time he closed his eyes, all he could see was violet eyes and golden skin, and a hope he didn't know how to answer. The morning after the announcement, Junho barely slept. He kept replaying the dinner in his mind, the shock on everyone's faces, and the calm certainty in Aaron's voice. When dawn broke over Velthara, painting the crystal spires in shades of pink and gold, a servant came to his room. "Princess Aaron requests your presence in her private study," the servant said. Junho's heart pounded as he followed the servant through winding corridors. The study was smaller than he expected, filled with books and data crystals. Aaron stood by a window, looking out at the glowing forests below. She wore simpler robes today, deep blue, that matched the morning sky. "You didn't sleep well," she said without turning around. It wasn't a question. "How did you know?" "I can sense your emotional state through the resonance." Aaron turned to face him. "It's faint, because the bond isn't complete. But I can feel your confusion. Your fear." Junho sat down in one of the chairs, suddenly exhausted. "Please, explain this to me. All of it. I need to understand." Aaron sat across from him. "Velrians are telepathic from birth. We hear each other's thoughts constantly. It makes us strong as a society, because no one can lie. But it also makes us lonely. End of the portent. End of the port. True privacy is impossible. True intimacy is rare because there are no secrets, no mysteries." She paused, her skin shifting to a softer silver. "The resonance is different. It's a deep connection between two minds that creates perfect understanding. When Velrians find their resonance partner, they bond for life. The connection enhances both partners, making them stronger together than apart." "But I'm not telepathic," Junho said. "How can I be your resonance partner? That's what makes this extraordinary." Aaron leaned forward. "The moment I saw you, I felt your mind. Not your thoughts, but your presence. Like a quiet pool of water in the middle of a storm. I have never felt anything like it. Among Velrians, minds are loud, constantly broadcasting. But you are peaceful, silent, beautiful." Junho felt his face heat up. "But what does this mean? What happens if we bond?" "Our minds would be connected permanently," Aaron explained. "We would feel each other's emotions, share thoughts when we choose to. We would know each other completely. For Velrians, it's the greatest gift we can give another person. And if I refuse?" Aaron's skin darkened to a sad blue. "Then I will never bond with another. The resonance only happens once. If you reject it, that part of me closes forever. I will live my life alone." Aaron's. Also. Node. Aaron's. The weight of that statement pressed down on Junho. "I didn't ask for this. I know." Aaron's voice was gentle. "That's why I'm giving you time. Work with me on the summit. Get to know me as a person, not just a princess or a potential mate. Then make your choice with full understanding." Over the next 2 days, Junho and Aaron prepared for the summit. They reviewed files on each species attending, studied the territorial disputes, and planned negotiation strategies. Junho was surprised by how easy it was to work with Aaron. She was brilliant, but never condescending. She listened to his ideas and built on them. "The Krell value strength above all," Junho said, reviewing their cultural file. "If we show any weakness, they'll exploit it. But if we show only strength, they'll see it as a threat," Aaron added. "We need to find a balance. Show we're strong enough to fight, but wise enough to seek peace." "Exactly." Junho smiled without thinking, and Aaron's skin flushed gold in response. The summit began on the 3rd day. Representatives from 7 species gathered in the Grand Council chamber. The Krell delegate was a massive creature, nearly 10 feet tall, with armor-like skin and 6 arms. His name was Warlord Kress, and his eyes were cold as ice. Junho sat beside Aaron, translating not just words but context and cultural meaning. When Warlord Kress said, "We seek only what is rightfully ours," Junho whispered to Aaron, "He's testing you." In Krell culture, that phrase means they're willing to take by force. Aaron nodded slightly and responded, "The Velrian Empire protects what is sacred to us. We seek peace, but we do not fear conflict." The Krell's eyes narrowed with what might have been respect. The negotiations continued for hours. Junho found himself falling into a rhythm with Aaron. Sometimes, she would glance at him, and he would know exactly what she needed to know. Sometimes he would feel an instinct about what to say next, and she would nod as if she had felt it too. During a break, the other human delegate, a woman named Mina who worked with the Galactic Council, pulled Junho aside. "You're doing amazing work," she said. "But be careful. The Velrian court is watching you closely. Many of them think a human consort would disgrace their princess." "I'm not going to be a consort," Junho protested. "I'm just here to translate." Mina gave him a knowing look. "The way you two work together says otherwise. I've been doing this job for 10 years. I've never seen a partnership like yours." That evening, after the first day of negotiations ended, Junho was walking back to his quarters when alarms began to shriek. Red lights flashed through the corridors. He heard screams. "Security breach in the council chamber," a voice announced over the speakers. "All delegates evacuate immediately." Junho ran back toward the chamber. He knew Aaron was still there, reviewing notes for the next day. He couldn't explain why, but he felt a pull toward her, an instinct that screamed she was in danger. He burst into the chamber to find chaos. 4 armed figures in black armor were advancing on Aaron. Krell, assassins. She was backing away, her hands raised, energy crackling between her fingers. But there were too many of them. Junho didn't think. He just ran, throwing himself between Aaron and the nearest assassin. The armored figure raised a weapon, and Junho closed his eyes, waiting for the impact. Instead, he felt a wave of pure energy wash over him. Aaron had unleashed her telepathic power, a psychic pulse that sent the assassins flying backward. They hit the walls and collapsed, unconscious. But Junho had been at the edge of the blast. For just a moment, his mind touched Aaron's fully. He felt everything she felt. The fear for his safety, the fierce protectiveness, the love that she had been trying to hide, and she felt him too. His loneliness, his lifelong search for somewhere to belong, his growing feelings for her that he hadn't even admitted to himself. The connection broke, and Junho fell to his knees, gasping. Aaron caught him, her hands on his shoulders. "You fool," she whispered, but her eyes were wet. "You could have been killed." "So could you," Junho managed. Guards poured into the room, securing the assassins. Aaron helped Junho to his feet. Her skin was shifting rapidly between gold and blue, her emotions too strong to control. "You felt it," she said quietly. "The resonance. You felt what I feel." Junho nodded, unable to speak, because he had felt it, and it was overwhelming. The depth of her feelings, the intensity of the connection. It should have terrified him, but instead, he felt something else. Understanding. For the first time in his life, someone had seen all of him, every hidden fear and secret hope, and hadn't turned away. "I need time," he said finally. "This is all happening too fast." "I know." Aaron stepped back, giving him space. "But Junho, you need to understand something. That connection you felt? It's only a fraction of what the complete bond would be like." Later that night, safe in his quarters, Junho couldn't stop thinking. The assassins had been after Aaron specifically. Someone wanted her dead, and he had thrown himself in front of her without hesitation. Why? He barely knew her. They had worked together for 3 days. But when he thought she was in danger, nothing else mattered. He touched his chest where he had felt the resonance pulse through him. The connection was still there. Faint, but present. Like a thread connecting him to Aaron, across the palace. A message came through on his communication device. It was from Aaron. "Are you all right?" He typed back. "Yes. Are you? Thanks to you, Junho. We need to find out who sent those assassins. The summit is in danger." Junho sat up straighter. "I might be able to help with that. I'm a translator, remember? I can analyze their communication patterns. Figure out who they were coordinating with." There was a pause. As Junho headed out, he realized something. He was supposed to be just a translator. A quiet linguist who preferred books to people. But here he was, investigating assassins with an alien princess who claimed he was her destined mate. His life had become impossibly complicated. But for the first time since he was a child, he didn't feel alone. Even now, walking through the crystal corridors, he could feel that faint thread connecting him to Aaron. And despite everything, despite the danger and the impossibility of it all, he didn't want that feeling to go away. The security center was deep beneath the palace, carved from the living crystal of Velthara itself. Junho found Aaron there, with High Advisor Kayla, an older Velrian woman whose skin held steady at a wise silver color. They stood over a table displaying holographic recordings from the attack. "The assassins were definitely Krell," Kayla said as Junho approached. "But they had access codes to our palace security. Someone gave them those codes." Quote, Junho studied the recordings, watching the attackers move through the palace with precise knowledge of the layout. "Can I hear their communications? Everything they said during the attack?" Kayla touched the controls, and voices filled the room. The Krell language was harsh and guttural. But Junho had studied it during his preparation. He listened carefully, not just to the words but to the patterns beneath them. "There," he said, stopping the playback. "That phrase, 'The morning sun sets early.' That's not Krell military code. It's too poetic for their culture." Aaron leaned closer. "What does it mean?" "It's a human expression," Junho said, his stomach sinking. "Or at least, it's structured like one. Someone who speaks both human standard and Krell taught them that phrase." "A human is involved?" Kayla's skin flashed angry red. "But why would humans want to harm our princess?" "Who?" "Pro-peace. Kalas. What humans want to harm our princess?" "Not all humans support the alliance with the Velrians," Junho said quietly. "Some think we should stay small and hidden, not make powerful friends who might drag us into conflicts." Over the next few days, Junho threw himself into the investigation while the summit continued. He analyzed every word the assassins had said, cross-referencing with databases of known human Krell contacts. Erin worked beside him whenever she could, their minds falling into an easy rhythm of collaboration. During this time, something shifted between them. Erin shared stories of her childhood, of being the third daughter in a royal family, always feeling like she had to prove herself. She had chosen linguistics and diplomacy instead of military command like her older sisters, earning her father's disappointment. "He wanted warriors," Erin said one night as they worked late in the archives. "Sounds familiar," Junho said with a small smile. "I was raised by AI tutors after my parents died. They taught me a dozen languages but couldn't teach me how to connect with people. I always felt like I was on the outside looking in." Erin's skin shifted to warm gold. "You're not on the outside anymore." Junho met her eyes and felt that thread between them pulse with warmth. "No, I guess I'm not." The more time they spent together, the more Junho noticed something strange. He could sense things he shouldn't be able to sense. When Erin was in the next room, he knew it. When she was worried or happy, he felt echoes of it. And sometimes, when he focused, he could almost hear her thoughts. "It's the resonance," Erin explained when he mentioned it. "Your mind is awakening to it." Humans aren't normally telepathic, but you have latent potential. My presence is activating it. Bye. Is that possible? It's never happened before, Aaron admitted. But nothing about our bond has been normal. You're unique, Junho. Meanwhile, the summit negotiations grew tenser. Warlord Kress became more aggressive in his demands. Counselor Thane, who had opposed Junho from the start, seemed to be undermining every compromise Aaron proposed. Junho began to suspect Thane might be involved in the assassination attempt. The counselor had been vocally opposed to the Human-Velrian alliance. But he needed proof. He set a trap. Working with Aaron and Kayla, they prepared a fake document about the summit's final proposals. But they told each council member a different version. Whichever version ended up with the Krell would reveal who the traitor was. 2 days later, intelligence reports confirmed that the Krell had received information. But it wasn't Thane's version. It was a version they had only told one person, Ambassador Hyon, a human diplomat who had been advising the Galactic Council on the summit. Junho felt sick. A human had betrayed them. Worse, it was someone he knew. Hyon had been one of the senior diplomats who had helped train Junho when he first joined the Terran Diplomatic Corps. We need to confront him, Aaron said, her skin dark with anger. Carefully. If he knows we're aware of his betrayal, he might flee or do something desperate. They arranged a meeting with Hyon in a secure conference room. The ambassador arrived, smiling, completely unaware. Junho, I heard about your excellent work with the princess, Hyon said warmly. You're making humanity proud. Am I? Junho kept his voice level. Or am I, making us look like fools who betray our allies? Hyun's smile froze. I don't know what you mean. The information leak, Aaron said, stepping forward. We traced it to you. You've been feeding intelligence to the Krell. For a moment, Hyun said nothing. Then his friendly expression melted away, replaced by cold calculation. You have no proof. We have all the proof we need, Junho said. Why, Hyun? Why betray the alliance? Hyun's eyes hardened. Because humanity is weak. We've barely been in space for a century, and already we're tying ourselves to empires that will drag us into their wars. The Velrians see us as useful tools, nothing more. When the real fighting starts, humans will die for their causes. That's not true, Junho protested. Isn't it? Hyun laughed bitterly. Look at yourself. Junho, you're so blinded by this fantasy of being the princess's mate that you can't see. You're just a political pawn. They're using you to control humanity. No one is using me, Junho said, feeling anger rise in his chest. I make my own choices. Then you're a fool. Hyun's hand moved toward his pocket. Aaron reacted instantly, but Hyun was faster than he looked. He pulled out a weapon, some kind of energy pistol, and fired at Aaron. Junho moved without thinking, throwing up his hand, and something impossible happened. A shimmering barrier appeared in the air between them and the blast. The energy splashed against it harmlessly. Everyone froze, staring at the barrier, at Junho's hand, still raised, at the faint glow surrounding him. How? Hyun started. Aaron's eyes widened. You created a psychic shield. Junho, you just manifested telepathic power. Junho stared at his own hand in shock. The barrier faded, but he could still feel the energy inside him. Waiting to be called again, Hyun fired again, but this time Aaron was ready. She unleashed her own power, and Junho felt the resonance surge between them. Instinctively, he channeled his newfound ability into hers. Their powers combined in a way that felt natural, inevitable. The combined force overwhelmed Hyun. His weapon flew from his hand, and he collapsed to his knees, stunned by the psychic assault. Guards rushed in, summoned by the commotion. They took Hyun into custody, while Junho and Aaron stood there, still feeling the echoes of their combined power. That should not have been possible, Aaron whispered. Human minds aren't strong enough to enhance Velrian telepathy. But you did it. We did it together. Kayla arrived moments later. She looked at Junho with new respect. The Empress needs to see this. The Empress of the Velrian Empire was ancient and powerful. Her skin was a deep, steady purple that never shifted, a sign of perfect emotional control. She received them in the throne room, with the entire court watching. "Demonstrate what you did," she commanded. Aaron and Junho stood together. He felt nervous with everyone watching, but when Aaron took his hand, the resonance calmed him. Together, they created a shield of pure psychic energy, stronger than either could manage alone. The court gasped. Counselor Thane looked furious, but others seemed amazed. The Empress studied them with eyes that seemed to see everything. "Our seers predicted this," she said finally. "They spoke of humans with latent power, awakened by the resonance. They said, such bonds would be crucial to our survival." "Survival against what, Your Majesty?" Aaron asked. "The threat that comes from beyond our borders," the Empress said. "The Krell are aggressive, yes, but they are not our true enemy. There is something else, something darker. Our seers have seen it in visions, a force that consumes entire worlds." Junho felt a chill run down his spine. "And you think human Velrian bonds can fight this?" "I think you represent something new," the Empress said. "Velrian telepathic power combined with human creativity and adaptability. Separately, we are strong. Together, we may be strong enough." She turned to address the court. "Let any who doubt the value of this bond witness what we have seen here. This human has manifested power that should be impossible. He and the princess together are greater than the sum of their parts. This is not weakness. This is evolution." Thane stepped forward, bowing. "Your Majesty, I spoke against this bond out of concern for our traditions. I see now that I was wrong. Forgive me." The Empress nodded. "You are forgiven, Thane. Your loyalty to our people has never been in question, only your perspective." As the court dispersed, Aaron and Junho stood together, still holding hands. The investigation had revealed the traitor. Junho had discovered powers he never knew he had, and the Empress herself had blessed their potential bond. "So," Aaron said quietly, "still think this is all a mistake?" Junho looked at their joined hands, feeling the warmth of the resonance flowing between them. "I think I stopped believing it was a mistake a while ago. I'm just scared of what it means." "Me too," Aaron admitted, her skin shifting to vulnerable silver. "This bond is supposed to be sacred and perfect. But what if I'm not enough? What if you choose me and then regret it?" Junho squeezed her hand. "What if I don't choose you and spend the rest of my life regretting that instead?" They stood there in the empty throne room, two people from different worlds, connected by something neither fully understood, but both were beginning to trust. The summit ended 3 days later with a peace agreement. The Krell would respect Velrian borders, and in exchange, the Velrians would open certain trade routes. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than war. Warlord Kress had seemed almost impressed by the final negotiations. "You fight with words instead of weapons," he had told Junho. "There is honor in that, for a human." Now, standing in his quarters, Junho faced the biggest decision of his life. The summit was over. He had fulfilled his obligation. Aaron had promised him a choice, and now he had to make it. There was a soft knock on his door. When he opened it, Aaron stood there in simple robes, her hair loose around her shoulders. Without the formal attire and the watching court, she looked younger, vulnerable. "I wanted to see you before you made your decision," she said quietly. "To tell you that whatever you choose, I'm grateful. You saved my life. You helped achieve peace. You've given me more than I ever expected." "Come in," Junho said, stepping aside. They sat together by the window, looking out at the glowing forests of Velthara. The 3 moons were rising, painting everything in shades of silver and blue. "I've been thinking," Junho said. about what it would mean to bond with you, to share thoughts and feelings for the rest of my life, to never truly be alone again. Aaron's skin shifted to nervous blue. And, all my life, I've been alone, Junho continued. Even in crowds, even with colleagues and friends, I always felt like there was a wall between me and everyone else. Like I was speaking a language no one else understood. He turned to face her. But with you, there's no wall. When our minds touched during the attack, I felt understood for the first time in my life. And that terrifies me. Because what if I'm not enough? What if you bond with me and realize I'm just a lonely translator who doesn't know how to connect with people? Aaron took his hand. You want to know what I felt when our minds touched? I felt someone brave enough to throw himself in front of danger for a person he barely knew. Someone brilliant enough to solve problems that warriors couldn't. Someone kind enough to see me as a person, not just a princess. Her skin glowed soft gold. I felt someone worth spending forever with. Junho felt tears on his face. I'm choosing you. I don't know if I'm making the right choice, but I can't imagine walking away from this. From you. Erin's entire body seemed to light up, her skin shifting through every color before settling on radiant gold. You mean it? I mean it, Junho said, and he was surprised by how certain he felt. I want the bond. I want to be your resonance partner. Aaron kissed him then, and it was like touching starlight. Through the faint connection they already shared, he felt her joy, her relief, her love crashing over him like a wave. When they finally pulled apart, she was laughing and crying at the same time. We need to tell the Empress. The bonding ceremony needs to be prepared. There's so much to do. The next week was chaos. The bonding ceremony would be the first of its kind, joining a Velrian and a human. Dignitaries from across the galaxy wanted to attend. The Empress declared it a state event. Mina arrived from Earth with a delegation of humans, including Director Park. She hugged Junho tightly when she saw him. I can't believe you're actually doing this, she said. A few weeks ago, you could barely talk to people at office parties. Now you're bonding with an alien princess. I'm terrified, Junho admitted. Good, Mina grinned. That means it matters. The ceremony would blend Velrian and human traditions. Junho wore traditional Korean formal wear that had been modified with Velrian crystal threading. Aaron wore robes that seemed to be woven from light itself. The ceremony took place in the Grand Temple of Velthara, a massive structure of living crystal that reached toward the sky. Thousands attended, filling every space. Junho saw humans, Velrians, Krell, and dozens of other species watching. The High Priestess, an ancient Velrian whose skin was pure white, conducted the ceremony. She spoke in the old Velrian language, and Junho understood it through the growing bond with Aaron. The resonance is sacred, the priestess said. It is the joining of two minds, two hearts, two souls. Those who enter this bond do so forever. There is no breaking it, no undoing it. Do you both accept this truth? We do, they said together. The priestess placed her hands on both their heads. Then, let the bond be completed. Let the resonance become eternal. Then, Junho felt the connection between him and Aaron surge. It was gentle at first, like a door slowly opening. Then, it became overwhelming. Her mind opened to his completely. He saw her entire life in flashes. A child who read books while her sisters trained with weapons. A young woman who defied her father to study linguistics. Years of loneliness among telepaths who couldn't understand why she valued silence. The moment she saw Junho and felt, for the first time, a mind that could be hers, and she saw him. His parents dying when he was young, growing up with only AI companions, learning languages because at least words made sense when people didn't, years of feeling like he was watching life through a window. never quite part of it, until her. Their minds merged, and the bond locked into place. Junho gasped, feeling Erin's presence settle into his mind like she had always been there. It wasn't intrusive or overwhelming. It felt right, like a missing piece finally sliding into place. When he opened his eyes, he could see the world through her senses too, could feel her joy and his own joy reflecting back and forth between them, amplifying until they both laughed. A mark appeared on Junho's neck, silver lines in a pattern that matched the Velrian script for bond. On Erin's neck, gold lines formed the same pattern. The crowd erupted in celebration. The Empress herself came forward to bless them. "You are the first," she said, "but you will not be the last. You have shown that the barriers between species are not as fixed as we believed. You honor both your peoples." The celebration lasted for hours. Junho danced with Aren, amazed by how easy it was now that he could feel her presence in his mind, guiding him. He talked with dignitaries, and Aren fed him information about each one through their bond, making him seem far more diplomatic than he had ever been alone. "This is cheating," he thought at her with amusement. "This is partnership," she thought back, and he felt her love wash over him. But late that night, as the celebration was winding down, alarms began to blare. Not palace alarms. Emergency broadcasts from the Galactic Council. Everyone rushed to the communication center. The screens showed a message that had been sent to every council world simultaneously. It was a distress call. A human colony on the outer rim had gone silent. Council ships had been sent to investigate. The recording showed what they found. The colony was destroyed. Not by weapons. Not by any technology. The council recognized. The buildings were covered in some kind of organic growth. The ships in orbit were simply gone, as if something had consumed them, and at the edge of the system, scanner readings showed massive objects. Ships, but unlike any ship in the council databases, they were organic, alive, and moving toward the next system. The Empress's face was grave. The seer's visions were right. The devourers have come. "Devourers?" Junyu asked. "A species that consumes entire biospheres," Kayla explained, her skin pale with fear. "We thought they were myths, stories from the ancient times, but the seers have been warning us for months that they were returning." The Empress turned to Junho and Eren. "I have a mission for you both. One that only you can complete." They stood together, their hands joined, their minds linked. "We're ready," Eren said. "Travel to Earth," the Empress commanded. "Help your people prepare for what's coming. The devourers will spread through this sector like a plague. Humanity needs to be ready to fight. And more than that, we need to find other humans like Junho. Humans with latent psychic potential, who can bond with Velrians." "Why?" Junho asked. "Because the devourers use psychic attacks," the Empress said. "They overwhelm the minds of their victims, turning them into husks. Normal defenses don't work, but bonded pairs, human and Velrian together, have shown resistance. Your combined minds are stronger than the sum of their parts." She stepped closer, her ancient eyes intense. "You are not just ambassadors. You are the first of a new kind of warrior. Hybrid pairs who can fight where others cannot. Find more like yourselves. Train them. Because war is coming, and we need every advantage we can get." Junho felt Eren's fear through the bond, and sent his own courage back to her. She squeezed his hand. "We'll do it," Junho said. "We'll go to Earth. We'll find others. We'll build an army if we have to." The Empress smiled sadly. "You came here as a translator. Now you leave as a defender of both our peoples. Fate has strange plans for us all." That night, in their quarters, Junho and Aren lay together, their minds intertwined. Through the bond, he felt her worry about the future, her determination to protect both their peoples. "Are you ready for this?" she asked quietly. No, Junho admitted. But I'm ready to try. As long as we're together. Through the bond, she sent him a wave of love and determination. Together. Then. Always. Outside their window, ships were already preparing for departure. The celebration had turned into mobilization. The galaxy was preparing for war. Junho held Aaron close and thought about how much had changed. Weeks ago, he was a quiet translator who preferred books to people. Now he was bonded to an alien princess, preparing to lead a war effort against an enemy that consumed worlds. His life had become impossible. But as he felt Aaron's heartbeat synchronize with his own, as their minds rested in perfect harmony, he knew he wouldn't change any of it. He had found where he belonged. Now he would fight to protect it. The ship that carried Junho and Aaron to Earth was Velrian, fast and elegant. Through the viewing port, Junho watched his home planet grow larger. The blue and green marble he had left weeks ago looked different now. More fragile. More precious. You're nervous, Aaron said, feeling his emotions through their bond. I left Earth as nobody special, Junho replied. Now I'm coming back bonded to an alien princess, carrying news of an invasion. People are going to think I've lost my mind. Aaron took his hand. Then we'll help them understand together. They landed in Seoul, the city where Junho was born. The landing pad was surrounded by military vehicles and government officials. Director Park was there, along with the entire Terran Defense Council. As Junho stepped off the ship with Aaron, cameras flashed. News drones circled overhead. He could hear the murmur of the crowd, the shock at seeing the bonding marks on his neck, the alien princess at his side. Defense Minister Kang approached them, his face hard to read. Junho, welcome home. We received the Empress's message about the Devourers. We need to talk. Immediately. The meeting took place in a secure bunker beneath Seoul. The Defense Council sat on one side of the table. Junho and Aaron sat on the other. Behind them stood Kayla and 3 other Velrian advisors who had come to help. Let me understand this correctly, Minister Kang said. An unknown species is consuming colonies across the Outer Rim. They use psychic attacks. And you believe the solution is to bond more humans with Velrians? Not just any humans, Aaron explained. Humans with latent psychic potential. Junho had abilities he never knew about until the resonance awakened them. We believe there are others like him. How many? Asked General Yoon, head of military operations. We don't know, Junho admitted. Psychic ability in humans is rare and usually undetected. But Earth has 8 billion people. Even if only a small fraction have the potential, that could be thousands. Minister Kang leaned back. And you want to test 8 billion people for psychic abilities? Then convince the ones who qualify to permanently bond their minds with aliens? Do you understand how insane that sounds? Do you understand that the alternative is extinction? Junho felt his frustration rising. Through the bond, Aaron sent calming energy. I've seen what the Devourers do. I've seen the recordings. Entire colonies turned to organic matter. Ships consumed. This isn't a negotiation or a border dispute. This is survival. The room fell silent. Director Park spoke up. I've known Junho for 5 years. He's the most careful, methodical person I've ever met. If he says this is necessary, I believe him. As do I, said Dr. Soman, head of xenobiology research. I've been reviewing the data from Velthara. The psychic synergy between bonded pairs is real. It's measurable. And if the Devourers really use psychic attacks, this might be our only defense. We have use of Restace the psychic. We have the formant. We have Alderman Restace. We have lauded by the telegy. Minister Kang looked at Junho for a long moment. If we do this, if we start testing people and creating these bonds, you'll lead the program. You and the princess. You'll be responsible for every person who joins. Junho felt the weight of that responsibility. But through the bond, he also felt Arin's strength supporting him. We accept. We accept. Over the next weeks, they built the program from nothing. Dr. Salmon developed a test for latent psychic ability. It was simple. Exposure to a low-level telepathic field. Most people felt nothing. But some people, a rare few, showed a response. The first person they found was a former soldier named Daeun. She was 30 years old, with scars on her arms and haunted eyes. She had served in the Colonial Defense Forces until an attack left her with severe PTSD. The test showed you have strong psychic potential, Junho explained when they met. But this isn't mandatory. You need to understand what you're agreeing to. Daeun looked at him, then at Arin. The bonding. It's permanent, right? You can't undo it? Yes, Arin said gently. But it's also powerful. It would give you abilities you've never had. The ability to sense danger, to protect others in ways normal humans can't. I couldn't protect my squad, Daeun said quietly. They died because I wasn't strong enough. If this can make me stronger, I want it. The Velrian who bonded with Daeun was named Ren, a warrior who had lost his entire unit to a devourer attack on the Outer Rim. They understood each other's pain. When they bonded, something beautiful happened. Daeun's psychic ability manifested as danger sense. The ability to feel attacks before they happened. Combined with Ren's combat experience, they became formidable. The second was Taejin, a scientist who had always had intuition that bordered on supernatural. He could guess experimental results before running tests, could sense when equations were wrong just by looking at them. His Velrian partner was a researcher named Lysa. Together, their combined intellect could solve problems at incredible speed. The third was Hana, a shuttle pilot who could interface with ship systems in ways that seemed almost magical. She bonded with a Velrian navigator named Shen. Together, they could fly ships with a precision that no computer could match. Within 2 months, they had found and bonded 30 pairs. 30 humans and 30 Velrians. Their minds linked, their abilities enhanced. They trained together in a facility outside Seoul, learning to use their combined powers. Junho and Arin led the training, teaching the new pairs how to merge their abilities, how to create psychic shields, how to sense the Devourer's approach. But they also taught them something else. How to maintain individuality within the bond. How to love each other without losing themselves. The bond isn't about becoming one person, Arin explained to the new pairs. It's about being two people who are stronger together. You each bring something unique. Don't lose that in the joining. Through it all, Junho kept learning about his own abilities. He discovered he could translate not just languages, but psychic patterns. When he focused, he could sense the emotional undertones in telepathic communication. It made him invaluable in coordinating the bonded pairs. Then the Devourers attacked Earth's outer defenses. The alert came at 3 a.m. A defense station in the asteroid belt had detected massive organic ships approaching. Junho and Arin rushed to the command center with the other bonded pairs. How long until they reach Earth? Minister Kang demanded. 6 hours, General Yoon replied. We're mobilizing the fleet, but our weapons have limited effect on organic matter. Then we go out to meet them, Junho said. The bonded pairs. We're ready. 30 pairs boarded specially designed ships, vessels that could be piloted by bonded minds working in perfect sync. Junho and Arin led them, their ship at the point of the formation. As they approached the Devourers, Junho got his first clear look at the enemy. The ships were massive, organic things that looked like they had been grown rather than built. They pulsed with sickly light, and from them emanated a psychic pressure that made normal humans collapse. Everyone, shields up. Arin commanded, through the telepathic link all the bonded pairs shared. 30 pairs of minds created 30 shields of psychic energy. The Devourer's mental assault crashed against them, like waves on a cliff. and broke apart. "It's working," Dayun reported. "I can feel their attack, but it can't penetrate the shields." "Good," Junho said. "Now let's see if we can understand them." He opened his mind, using his translation abilities on the psychic signals the Devourers were broadcasting. What he heard made him freeze. Through the bond, Aaron felt his shock. "What is it?" "They're not attacking to destroy us," Junho said slowly. "They're fleeing. Something is chasing them. They consume biospheres because they need the energy to run." "Running from what?" Minister Kang's voice came through the comm. Junho focused harder, diving deeper into the Devourer's psychic signals. He saw images, felt emotions that weren't quite emotions. Terror, desperation, and behind it all, a darkness that made the Devourers seem like children. "Something worse," Junho whispered. "Something that makes the Devourers look harmless." But understanding the Devourers didn't make them less dangerous. They still needed to consume Earth to fuel their flight. The battle was still necessary. "All pairs, on my mark," Junho commanded. "We're going to try something. Link your shields together. Create one massive barrier." Through the telepathic network, 30 bonded pairs joined their minds. The psychic energy they generated was visible, a shimmering wall of force that stretched across space. When the Devourer's ships hit the barrier, they recoiled. For the first time, they had encountered something they couldn't consume. Junho made a decision. He broadcast a message on all frequencies, psychic and electronic. "Devourers, we can hear you. We know you're fleeing. We know you need energy, but we will not let you consume our world. If you want to survive, you'll have to find another way." The Devourer's response was confusion. They had never encountered resistance like this before, never met minds that could stand against their psychic assault. Then Taejin's voice came through. "I have an idea. What if we gave them energy? Not from our biosphere, but from our sun. If we could create a psychic conduit, channel solar energy directly to their ships." "That's insane," someone said. "But it might work," Aaron added. "Junho, with your translation abilities and our combined power, we might be able to teach them. Show them how to take energy without destroying." Junho felt the weight of the decision. It was risky. It could fail. But it was also humanity at its best. Finding solutions where others saw only violence. "Everyone, with me," he said. "We're going to save these creatures. And maybe, just maybe, they'll tell us what they're running from, what we need to prepare for." The 30 bonded pairs focused their combined power. Junho used his abilities to communicate the concept to the Devourers. Taejin and Lisa calculated the energy requirements. Hana and Shen maneuvered ships to create the right geometric pattern, and together, they built a bridge of pure psychic energy from the sun to the Devourer ships. It was the most beautiful and terrible thing Junho had ever been part of. Energy flowed through the network of bonded minds, guided and shaped by their combined will. The Devourer's ships began to glow, feeding on solar energy instead of organic matter. When it was done, Junho was exhausted. But through the bond, he felt Erin's pride, her love, her certainty that they had done the right thing. The Devourer's psychic signal changed. It was something like gratitude. And then, they shared an image with Junho. A warning. Something was coming. Something ancient and hungry that made the Devourers seem like prey. It would arrive in months, perhaps a year. And when it came, all the species of the galaxy would need to stand together or fall separately. As the Devourer ships departed, carrying their warning, Junho looked at the fleet of human and Velrian vessels around him. At the bonded pairs who had faced the impossible and won. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. Through the bond, Aaron agreed. "Yes, but look at what we've already accomplished. Humans and Velrians working as one. 30 pairs who prove that together, we're stronger." Back on Earth, they were heroes. the people who had saved the planet without firing a shot. But Junho knew the truth. They had only bought time. Standing at the window of their apartment in Seoul, Arin beside him, Junho looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, something worse than the Devourers was coming. But Earth had bonded pairs now. Humanity had allies. They had hope. "We came so far," Arin said softly. Junho smiled and pulled her close. "I was, but I became so much more. We both did. We both did. We both did. We both did." Through their bond, their minds rested together in perfect harmony. A human and a Velrian. A translator and a princess. Two people who had found each other across the stars and become something greater. The war was coming. The real threat still lurked in the darkness beyond known space. But Junho had learned something important. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't weapons or technology. It was the ability to connect, to build bridges, to find common ground with beings completely unlike themselves. He had been invited as a translator. But he had become a champion, not through strength or violence, but through understanding and love. And that, he thought as Arin's mind whispered comfort and courage into his own, was the most human thing of all.